recording.
Take two.
Take two.
Hi, I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. Well, this week I'll be coming to you from sunny southern Florida with our very, very special guest. We'll be visiting with Rodger Leopardi, a great all-round voice talent whose voice you know, and we'll take a look at his studio.
Yeah, thanks, Zurich, for hooking that up. I'm going to talk about Skype in your home studio. Sometimes it's just a click and it works. Sometimes it's not. I'll figure out the best ways to make it work. And I'm also going to talk about glitches in the home studio regarding computer software. And sometimes Lion might be the culprit.
And I'll have my tip of the week. This week I am going to talk about mouth clicks and how to get rid of them.
Oh, that's good, because a lot of my clients need help with that. I'll also have another video from the NAMM show, a cool product you might want to check out, and more photos from our fans. Coming up next on East-West Audio Body Shop.
He's the voiceover studio engineer of the Stars in Los Angeles, California, a Virginia Tech grad with a knowledge of recording studios unmatched in his field. He's a voice actor from Buffalo, New York, with 30 years experience in recording studios and behind the mic. He solves people's home voiceover studio problems in the blink of an eye. Together, there's no studio problem they can't solve, and they'll do it for you tonight. Welcome to East-West Audio Body Shop. Now, live from a basement in Buffalo and an office in L.A., here are Dan Leonard and George Whittam.
And good evening. Take two. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop.
We made it.
Well, here I am in southern Florida. You guys already heard all this stuff before. But anyway, we're here, and it's nice and warm, and my toe is thawing out. You all know about my toe. And
now you've all met his toe.
Now we've met my toe. Well, maybe if you're on Facebook last year, you saw my toe when I was in the hospital. But I've got to be here. I've got to be in Florida for at least 1 week during the winter, or I turn into the good humor man, only the guy that's in his basket.
Yeah.
Anyway, but what a week, and what a great show we've got for you tonight too. We've got one of the really well-known voice artists. See, it's the great thing about our business is not everybody knows everybody's name, but you'll know this guy's voice when you hear it because he does a lot of big-time commercials, and he's going to be our guest tonight. He's in Florida too, but he's over at his place, which is off of where it's some part of West Palm. Rodger Leopardi will be with us.
Awesome. That was a very spontaneous thing. I knew Dan was going to Florida, but I was like, what are we going to do for a guest? And let's do something different. He's going to be in Florida. Let's find some Florida talent. And I put the word out to a couple of people I know down there, and Zurich chimed in and said, yo, I got the guy for you. So thanks, Zurich.
Thank you, Rick. That was great.
Yeah, he gets honorable production credit this month. This show.
Yeah, that's right. He's like, executive producer. Executive.
Actually, you want a job, Zurich? It doesn't pay anything, but
Yeah, really.
You get more. You get even more props and more fame, like you need it.
That's right. Well, this show continues to be a riot. We can do it from anywhere. We know we're going to be doing it from FAFCON, and we know we're going to be doing it at Voice 2012, and maybe we should have a poll on where else we should do this show from. I think people might say Siberia.
Right.
So
I got some ideas, but they all require some sort of budget. So
yeah. So if you're interested in sponsoring East-West Audio Body Shop, we're taking calls.
That's right.
The number here in New York. Anyway, but let's get into the meat of the matter. We got lots of great stuff to talk about tonight. I've had an interesting week, probably one of the best weeks I've had professionally in years. Great webinar on Thursday night. I hope a bunch of you were there for that. We had a great time talking about audio editing, and you're just sitting there in Southern California having a grand old time, aren't you?
Well, I've been sick this past week, so I'm going to try my best to not cough on the air. I will use my quote unquote cough button over here when necessary to deal with that. But yeah, it's been kind of a rough week at the house here. We never get sick, so the whole house has been coughing. And I was fortunately had a slow week for work at the same time, so that kind of worked out. And I rescheduled at least 2 client calls because there's no way on earth I would show up to a client's house with any kind of possible communicable disease, and especially a respiratory disease. That's
right.
Bad form. That's generally really bad form. Giving any voice actor any kind of lung problem is
right.
generally frowned upon.
I'll try not to make you laugh too much tonight. See how that works? No, I got you all hooked up. So anyway, you were going to talk tonight about glitches with Skype.
Yeah, I am the one to talk about glitches.
Speaking of that.
Oh, man. Well, the Skype is a pretty amazing program because of what it can do, allowing real-time audio back and forth between multiple locations now. You can do group chats, group video chats. Our show relies on it heavily. I mean, it's how this show runs. Without Skype, we would not be able to do this show with Dan elsewhere, not here in the studio. So it's like super important for us to have Skype stable and working well. And we've chosen it because it can send audio at a really pretty darn high quality, surprisingly is so. And the video is also pretty amazing. And the better the internet bandwidth you have, the better it gets. But if you want to use Skype, and we're not talking about the video side of things, just for audio, just for the purposes of doing a phone patch type situation or receiving coaching or whatever, it can be done in a home studio environment. The easiest possible scenario is that you're running a Mac and that you assign the same audio device for your recording and playback as you do for Skype. So the microphone you're speaking into goes straight into Skype. Pretty easy. And then the return from Skype comes back through your headphones, and it's the same return as what comes back from your recording software. That's
people been having trouble with it?
That's cake. I don't know anybody that's had any trouble with that particular part of the equation that at least is using a Mac. However, there is one little thing to note is that depending on what software, recording drivers or audio device you're using, some audio devices will allow the computer to take over control of their input gain. If you ever go to your system preferences and look and see what the audio input setting is in sound, if it has a little slider at the bottom of the window to control gain, then you could be in trouble because what Skype can do is actually control the gain and do automatic gain control to deal with variations in the volume. Right. But that will also control the recording level. So your recording level will drift up and down. So there is a hack for that, and I'll put a note in the show notes. I'll have Eric remind me, put it in the show notes, and I will make a link to the notes on how to fix that, because there's a couple lines of code. It's a copy and paste thing that you can fix in a preference file, and that problem will go away. But that's generally pretty easy. Have you tried it that way, Dan?
Yeah, well, we threw that code into our when we were doing the show to make sure that the automatic level control wasn't on, because a lot of mornings I would come back into the studio after doing the show or just or doing a session with somebody on Skype and start recording, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Oh, because it automatically controlled the input level. Yeah, and so we disabled that, and it life's a lot better now.
Yeah, exactly. But in the world of Windows, it should work the same way. I've had some people say, no problem. They can do the same thing, configure the same device for input and output in Skype as for recording, and it works just great. However, if you're using certain audio devices, they're not going to behave well. And especially I think one major problem will be if you're using an ASIO driver, ASIO driver, which those are considered like the high performance audio drivers on Windows. They're supposed to have the lowest latency and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is, if once ASIO is being used with the recording software, it's kind of like Pro Tools, where it likes to shut everything else out so that it can have the 100% attention of your computer's audio, communications. and it tends to keep everything else from working. So if you're in that situation and you can't get around it, even if you have a separate sound card, let's say you've got, I don't know, some USB audio device that you record with, and a mobile pre or something, and then you've got the inboard sound of the PC that you want to use for Skype, those should work together. And using a mixing console or something, you should be able to treat the computer like two different devices. In fact, in our situation for our show, I actually have 3 different USB audio devices, and one is used for the broadcast to send the audio out of the mixer. One is used for listening to Dan over Skype, and sending a signal back to Dan so he can hear me. And then the third one is used for just general playback duties if I want to play back an audio file so people can hear what I'm playing. So I actually have 3 distinct USB devices on this machine simultaneously, and they all seem to play together pretty well. And that's because they're all using, the built-in Mac Core Audio drivers. But if you're in that situation and they're not playing together, the only real solution that's going to be reliable probably is literally a dedicated computer for Skype. Now, it doesn't have to be a dedicated computer that only does Skype, but you should have one machine that's just running Skype, maybe an old laptop. Doesn't have to be a super fast computer. You could pick up a used laptop on eBay for $150 and put Skype on it. Pardon me. And then tie that back into the mixer using an aux send. And that actually will work really well. You'll basically treat your laptop like a dedicated phone patch or phone hybrid piece of equipment. Just treat it like any other piece of outboard gear. And, that should solve the problem for you, because there's not going to be any audio conflicts that way. You have 2 distinct worlds. So,
and you can actually use that. It sounds much better than a phone patch, actually.
Yeah.
Listen to what this sounds like.
Yeah, we have audio. Well, actually, we have video delay problems with Dan, so his video is delayed by about 10 seconds right now. Everybody's noticing. We're gonna when we go to the break here, we're gonna hang up on Dan and call him back, and maybe it'll fix the delay. But the audio quality is fantastic, and the audio quality is amazing. So that's why I like using Skype. Someday it's going to be as good as Source Connect. I venture to guess it's getting there, but it was never designed to sound as good as Source Connect. That was never their intention. But Source Connect has the ability to send audio that's broadcast quality. Like, you can record a Source Connect connection and use it on the air. And Source Connect or a Skype, it's sort of like AM versus FM. Actually, it's like FM versus CD quality. I don't know if you want to call it that, but Skype is FM and full CD quality is Source Connect. So yeah, that's what I've been running into. I've been doing a lot of Skype troubleshooting for people this week, and that was the conclusion I had for the one client, was just 2 separate systems. So if you run into that problem, that's what you
why
do.
that is.
Why's that?
It's a retrograde Mercury period.
Right.
Now somebody out there is probably an astrologer going, it's not a retrograde Mercury period. But then again, with all the trouble with communication this week,
yeah,
perhaps it is.
There's been a lot going on that way. And your picture is back in lock with the sound. It's totally perfect. So congratulations. So, the thing about Skype is it's an amazingly powerful tool that's still free. Unless you want the multi-video chat feature or you want to use it to make phone calls, it's a free program. And that's pretty remarkable for what it does. Right. But it makes a great phone patch. It's an awesome phone patch. The quality is phenomenal. And it does really well at separating out the send and the receive, so you almost never get echo or noise back in your headphones. Right. It really is great. And I did a poll actually on the. Thanks for everybody that participated in the Facebook poll. If you go to our Facebook group, you'll notice I posted a couple polls up there, and I asked which is the software you use the most in your studio, or which I said which do you use most often in your studio? Skype, Phone Hybrid, Source, or ISDN. Well, there were no votes for ISDN, 1 for Source, and that was my vote, 1 for Hybrid, and then 19 votes for Skype. So it's obvious that our listeners, our viewers are the ones that are learning how to make use of Skype, and they're the smart ones, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you also want to talk a little bit about Lion. I guess we can get a little bit into that in our next segment too. So
yeah, maybe we'll go to a break real quick. I'll come back and talk about Lion a little bit, and then we can go into your tip of the week on mouth clicks. Absolutely,
and I can talk about Lion too because I'm actually using it.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to get your. It's one of those things where. Well, I'll talk more. We'll get into that right after this.
Thomas chiming in.
This is Alex Verdi.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish
I've got my travel kit, I got my Source Connect, I've got it all going on, thanks to you.
Thanks, George. You make it easy. This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Now back to two characters that didn't have anything else better to do.
And we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop. Dan Leonard here in southern Florida. It's like I never left home.
It's nice and toasty there, I hear.
It's kind of like a sauna here, but compared to Buffalo, it's paradise for a week. And I'm going to miss it. So that's the most important thing.
Enjoy it while you got it.
Yeah, I miss the dogs.
Yeah,
but then again, my mother-in-law has the same kind of dog, and
really?
He's a lot lickier than Ari.
A lot lickier.
Anyway, Charlie, get off of me. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about Lion. Now you're not actually running Lion on your Hackintosh there. I'm running Lion on everything, and the latest OS on my mobile devices. But
yeah.
But what kind of problems have you encountered with some of your clients, or personally, or what?
It's so hard to say. I'm the kind of person that will point a finger at the newest thing and blame that as the problem, as opposed to assuming the newest thing is the fix to all the problems prior. I tend to look at the new thing being the problem. If everything was working normally beforehand, all things being equal, whatever the new thing is probably what caused the problem. So that's why I've been starting to point fingers at Lion for causing some audio issues. One client of mine is using an Apogee 1 with a new Mac Mini with Lion, and she can't install a flash without crashing, basically freezing and crashing the machine, which is really strange.
Yep.
And then in Twisted Wave, sometimes when she hits play, she has a delay of about 1 second to 2 seconds before it actually plays back audio. Now, it starts scrolling as soon as she hits play, which is different from Pro Tools. Pro Tools will just sit there and then start to play, and that's another glitch that Pro Tools has. But she'll hit play, it starts scrolling, and then the audio picks up. And if you're doing audiobooks and you're doing a lot of stopping and starting, that is a major drag. And so we're still trying to figure out the problem is. And the irony that Apogee works so closely with Apple, you would think the two of them would be like this.
You would think.
Yeah, but when I talked to Apogee support about possible issues with Lion and all this, and they said, we don't get any favors. When the operating system hits the market, when the download comes or the update comes into the the automatic updater, that's when they get it. And when problems pop up that they haven't been able to foresee, they have to fix it. They have to fix it. Yeah, just like everybody else. So I always had the impression that Apogee, being Apple only, they were going to be a lot more likely to handle and be prepared for these kinds of updates. It's unfortunately not really the case. They're not that much different from everybody else when it comes to that. So anyway, that was one issue. And then another client was having sample rate problems. She would record at one sample rate and send the file out, so she thought, and then the delivered MP3 would be pitched up, which basically is what happens when you think you're recording at, I think it's you're recording at 48, but it gets saved at 44.1, and then in the process, it's not sample rate converted, and that's when it gets pitched up. I think that's what happened, but that's a total, that's a totally, there's no reason that should happen with a properly working audio driver. In her case, she was using a Mackie Onyx Firewire board, which I'm a huge fan of. I think they're fantastic. If you need to have a lot of in and outs, and you need to do, if you want to do the Skype phone patch with if you want to get fancy, it can do all that stuff really well. And but that was the problem she was having. What we did for her was I created a new user account on that computer. She was sharing the same user account as her husband was using, and I was like, you know what? Let's separate it out. I have no idea how old this user account is. Us Mac users, we tend to just migrate, from machine to machine to machine because it's easy and it's convenient. But when you keep doing that, it adds more chances for issues. It adds more problems. It just adds more sludge to the system. Yeah. So starting a new user account sometimes fixes other mysterious glitches.
Right. I've had very few problems with it. And I was reluctant, when I first put it on my iMac, and I have an old iMac. It's like, from 2008. And
which won't support Mountain Lion, by the way.
Which what?
It won't support Mountain Lion, the next OS. But
it's time for me to get a new iMac anyway. And, but this thing, it's been running great with a dual core processor on it.
As long as it's running Apple will not let you run an operating system that's not compatible with the hardware, period.
That's right.
With Windows computers, you can get away with a lot more. And that's one reason why Windows computers tend to be a little hampered is because they have to have backward compatibility going back such a long distance. Whereas Apple will just draw a line in the sand and say, all right, well, from this version forward, we're moving on. And if you're running older hardware, you're going to be stuck using legacy OS. So, Dan, if I just stepped on you just now, it was only because you froze for a second.
Oh,
and I didn't realize that you hadn't stopped. So I apologize.
Oh, okay. All right. Where was I? Oh, we were talking about my iMac.
Yeah.
And it's been fairly seamless, and with every little update, it seems to get a little bit more stable. I've had little tiny problems with Adobe Audition here and there, but if it ever crashes, it seems to recover the file, which is like.
As long as it always does that.
Chapter of a book.
Yeah, that's why I like
it. To know.
That's good, and TwistedWave does that as well. And whatever software you're using, I hope it has auto recovery.
TwistedWave has been running flawlessly ever since I bought it, no matter what system I was running it on. So that's because I think because it's not so resource intensive, it tends to run very, very efficiently.
Yeah, it's a stripped down program, but that's what makes it so reliable.
That's right. So I would say if you have the latest Mac computer, you really should be running their latest software on it. I know you're probably a little reluctant because I know you tried it on one and we had problems here, but
I tried it when it was still in beta or something. And of course you're open for, the problem is when something's brand new, everybody has to catch up, like I was saying earlier.
Right.
If you buy a new Mac that has the new operating system, you can't go back to Snow Leopard. It's not possible. You're locked out. You can't go from Lion to Snow Leopard if you buy a MacBook, in the last 6 months. So there's this gray area, or there's this limbo period where you buy a brand new Mac, it comes with Lion, and Lion just came out, and you're stuck with Lion, but nobody is really supporting it yet. That's always the worst transition period. For audio people, anybody in production where they have to be online and not have any outages and be reliable, buying a new computer right when there's an OS version change, not just a version, but like a whole new generation, like Snow Leopard to Lion, that's a bad time to buy a new Mac because there's so many new issues that can creep up and bite you on the butt. So I usually recommend trying to time it so when you buy new computers, they're sort of midway to 3/4 of the way through the life cycle of that operating system. So, buy a new Mac around the 0.5 or 0.4 or 0.5 version of the OS as opposed to the 0.1 or the 0.0. Right. Yeah. Oh, and one other thing on TwistedWave real quick.
Yeah,
I just noticed that
you got a lot of air for someone who's been sick all week.
I know. I've been holed up at home and just like trying. try to keep myself entertained. The Twist-A-Wave has a new version for the iOS device that now can save MP3s natively right inside the app.
Right.
And it'll upload to SoundCloud. So for anybody that likes using SoundCloud, that just popped up on Friday. So
right.
That's a little. When you mentioned Twist-A-Wave, I just wanted to get that out there because that's the MP3 encode thing, which could really save some time instead of having to do the thing where it uploads to a server and then does it and then sends it off. So,
yep. All righty.
I'm done.
Okay, good. Not that it wasn't interesting. Okay, talking about interesting. Last week we were talking about how I was coming down here to Florida and to take it easy for a week. But, of course, I have to work one night, got to do the show. But I envisioned that we would be able to be down here in this palatial estate, the compound. It's a nice house in Wycliffe. And looking at this wonderful statuary. So roll the... I had to explain something about the statuary back here. When we first saw this place, like you're buying a place with statues. So are you running that right now?
No, I'm going to run that right now.
Oh,
I'm going to drag this. I was just having a coughing fit. I had to turn off my mic. Okay, here's the shot. I'm going to roll it over top Dan's picture. Okay, here you go.
Okay. So as you can see with the muses here, they're these beautiful statues that overlook this beautiful pool. And but something struck me about one of them. One of them is apparently the muse of fire or something, and she's holding this cup of fire, and I took one look at it, and it looks like a bowl of frozen custard. I'm like, what is she? Is the god of frozen custard? I don't get that.
It is Florida.
It is Florida, and I think for people in Buffalo who know Anderson's frozen custard know exactly what I'm talking about. Like
or that Florida or Jersey, either one.
Yeah, that's true. But it's a beautiful setting here, and it's nice and warm, and So anyway,
that's beautiful.
Goddess of custard. Anyway, so we're back on me now.
Yeah, we're back on you.
Okay, good. I'm a little behind in monitoring what's going on here.
It's okay. So. We're on you, buddy.
Okay, so that's the story with the statues back here. So let's get into my tip of the week here too, because this is something I think a lot of people think about. There's some people who have it a lot worse than others, and so I came up with this tip of the week for all you people with a little bit of extra mouth noise.
All right, here we go.
Mouth clicks. Those annoying little clicks of saliva that render a perfect take useless. There's no consensus. They say too much coffee or caffeine, eating dairy or spicy food can cause it. The answer to that?
Hey, Doc, it hurts when I do this. Then don't do that.
Just avoid the stuff before a session. There's as many remedies as there are types of Altoids. You've heard them all. Apple slices. Drink lots of water. My personal favorite, the mucus suppressant Alkalol in a spray bottle. If you can't stop it, you can try to edit them out with some mixed results. The best way to get rid of them is using a spectrogram in Adobe Audition CS5. You listen for them, you see them, you auto-heal them. Gone with no interruption in the timeline. But really, the ultimate way is to train yourself to relax when you read. What really causes it is forcing words with your tongue and your palate. If you relax, take the pressure off your mouth, it minimizes the problem significantly. And that saves you time editing. And that's my tip of the week. modern world of voiceover, whether you've got years of experience or you're a newbie, having a home studio is essential. A home studio is a unique environment. Every voice is different. Every room is different. Advice from friends is great, but you need someone with the experience of setting up hundreds of home voiceover studios. I'm Dan Leonard, the home studio master. Let me show you the best place in your home to set up, the right equipment, and how to properly use recording software. Plus, I troubleshoot your home studio nightmares. Wherever in the world you are, having a home studio is essential, but that doesn't mean you have to be a recording engineer. Let me show you how easy it is. Go to homestudiomaster.com or email me at homestudiomaster@verizon.net. I guarantee results. In the modern world of voiceover...
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Two guys I love spending Sunday nights with.
And we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop. Glitches and all, we come to you every week, no matter what.
That's right.
Whether
Glitches
it's
is
Skype,
what makes
whether
it
it's
fun.
Ustream, whether it's, me unplugging my mic, George tripping over a cable, we're going to be here no matter what. Anyway, it's time to bring in our very special guest this week. Joining us from West Palm Beach, just down the road here, is our good friend and all-around super voice talent, Rodger Leopardi. Rodger, good evening.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
We're fabulous.
We're excellent. Thank you.
And I'm finally warm. But Rodger, now we were talking earlier that everybody hears your voice everywhere, and there's a lot